Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. See if I can get this clicker to work. Oh, flipping it. Going back, go back. Right, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Pete Marples. I was looking at the delegate list actually this morning, and I was absolutely amazed by the number of new providers in the room. So for those of you who are new providers because you've got on RoadTap, congratulations. For those of you who are new providers and have secured yourself a non-levy contract for the first time, congratulations. But welcome to this mad, mad world that you are entering or have been part of, which was only set to continue. For those of you who don't know me, as I said, Pete Marples, I'm the Chief Exec and Joint Owner of 3As. We're an apprenticeship training provider. We entered the apprenticeship training market about 7 years ago. And since then, those are some brief statistics about ourselves. We have 38 delivery centres, so picking up Bij's day release position, 20% on the job, best thing that's ever happened. Thank you very much. So we're very supportive of that. Our business before the levy, so I'm going to flip between levy and non-levy over the next 15 minutes or so. Our business before the levy was introduced was 86% non-levy. And that man, Mr. Teflon Launer, said to our chairman in May 2016, you as a provider are the most vulnerable provider in this market because you don't actually have many large customers. We have roughly about a £26 million non-levy contract with the SME community, and that continues a very important part of our business. And today we have around about 40 million of levy under our management as a business. And our business has been created from a standing start around 7 years ago. And that's really what we're about as a business. So picking up Bij's point, which I don't really talk about finance a lot, but probably one of the key messages for those of you who are new to this marketplace is that whole management in the next 12 months and in the past 6 months of working capital is absolutely critical, not only to you as businesses, but also, and very importantly, reputation of this market and you being in it, or if you not being in it, the reputation that is left behind as a consequence of what will be inevitable failures in this market going forward. So that's really what I want to touch on for the next sort of 15 minutes or so. I think it's a really exciting time to be in, but we have got some headwinds. So what I want to do, given the fact that we've got a lot of new providers in the room, is really touch upon what I've called headwinds, but also finish off in terms of what I call tailwinds, in the sense of those things that are going to help us as businesses, whether you're an FE college, whether you're a private training provider or an employer provider, in the context of the market going forward. Those are just some of the levy clients that we have secured from a standing start. No experience of the levy, but actually we started in the levy market in May 16, and so far we've invested just under 3 million of cash to get to a position of securing those clients and more, some of which we've been engaged for over 12 months, and some of which yet haven't put a start on the board. And that's the sort of level of investment that everybody in this room is going to need to require. So what are the headwinds that are facing us? And there's really 7 points here, which I just really want to summarize because time I know is short. And really what I want to summarize is for new providers, and we do a lot of horizon gazing, we do a lot of monitoring, we have a great relationship actually with the ESFA, and they're operating in what are very, very difficult circumstances. For new training providers coming into this apprenticeship market who are used to commercial training, apprenticeships are not a rebadging of a commercial training offer. And there are significant numbers of providers that have entered this market that are simply trying to deliver the same learning and development, leadership and management training that they've done on a commercial basis for years. We have a big PLC. We didn't win the leadership and management training. We won all the other aspects of their training. And I was asked to go and do a review of that activity. And I said, where's the assessment? Where's the working with the learner on the job and setting projects? And the MD of that business, quite a small business, said to me, "The trouble is with you, Peter, you're old world, you are." And that is a real issue for this sector around the reputation. And the ESFA are now alive to that. For those a lot of new providers, the ESFA are now going around. They've employed some firms, KPMG, PwC, to go around new providers to see, one, have you got any delivery centres? Two, where are you operating from? And three, have you actually got the capacity to build and deliver the businesses that you've got? The second theme around that is there's a lot of noise around the new rules around subcontracting. There's a lot of noise around all of those sorts of things. For those new providers in the room, we created our business as a subcontractor to a number of further education colleges, and over a 3 or 4 year period, we built up around about £20 million worth of subcontracting. Our delivery model wasn't a hands-off, stand-off contract with colleges. Our delivery model was actually delivering in a college, using the college's facilities, but bringing together the commercial acumen and the infrastructure and the quality that colleges have to work in partnership. And we've got somebody here today, and we still have an academy sitting in a college in the Midlands. And therefore, whilst there is issues around new subcontracting rules, what that creates is opportunities for new ways of working, particularly for new people, new entrants coming into the market. I think the third headwind that's about to come across, and we can't get away from some of the publicity that's been about, is for a lot of new providers, you will be getting, almost certainly, early Ofsted inspection. And being a subcontractor is not the same as being a prime. And the number of tenders, I spend most of my life at the moment putting tenders together, and we put about 6 or 7 out of our building every week. And when you get the questions that run through the tender portals from new providers, they say, "We're on ROTAP, that's the equivalent of a grade 2 Ofsted." I can assure you that being on ROTAP is nothing like going through Ofsted. And for those of you new, that is going to be a big issue. And if you look at, and one of the things I do, every Wednesday, every Friday, go onto the Ofsted website and look at every report that's published. And there is a very, very significant relationship between first Ofsted inspections and either inadequate or requires improvement ratings. And if you are in a levy market or even in a non-levy market, that is absolutely a massive issue for individual providers. So there's going to be early review by the ESFA. There is going to be almost inevitably a cleansing of that ROTAP register. We talk to the SFA frequently, and once the ROTAP the next one comes out later this week, they're going to start to cleanse that register. So if you've done no activity, your license to practice might disappear. And I think what all that means in terms of those headwinds is really re-emphasising the point that Bij picked up, is that third point, which is about managing working capital and managing cash and knowing whether your programs are profitable, is absolutely critical. And the key thing and the key message I would give is your infrastructure as a provider must be ahead of your delivery, not lagging behind. And our business has grown dramatically, and we have had over time instances of where our infrastructure has just not kept up with the growth of the business, particularly around quality. So probably my one message and the thing that keeps me awake at night as an MD of our business is the thing that will kill either us or the sector is the whole issue of reputation management. And we're only as good as the weakest link. And there is still a lot going on out there that really is not acceptable in this new marketplace. But for those who do know me, I am an eternal optimist. For those of you who know me, I'm an eternal optimist because once in my life I bought a football club. which is the maddest thing I've ever done in my life, probably apart from leading an apprenticeship training provider. But I think for me, 7 points really in terms of what I see the opportunities being, and really tips for providers, as I would call it, in the room today. I've talked a little bit about subcontracting, but within those subcontracting rules, particularly for non-levy, there is lots of new opportunities to develop new innovative partnerships that are totally compliant with the funding rules and create real and massive opportunities in partnering with others and partnering with primes to deliver those types of activity. I think there is a significant issue and a significant opportunity. We've got the announcement of the trusted provider status. Nobody knows what that means, but I think in the levy market, that's going to become a really, really important thing in the eyes of employers in terms of how they view you as a provider. Probably more so, actually, than Ofsted grades and achievement rates. The levy, in my view, is the biggest opportunity that we have in a lifetime of learning and development. I've been in this sector nearly 30 years. I was a partner in KPMG, so the comment about KPMG being involved in apprenticeships for years, I can assure you is wrong, but they publicise their wares very well. I led KPMG's education practice. I've run a number of training businesses. This is the biggest opportunity in a lifetime. But we will only seize that opportunity if we are able as individual organisations and to work collectively to actually manage the reputation of what we're doing out there in the marketplace. We're in a very fortunate position. We work with a lot of PLCs. Indeed, this morning at 9:30, I was on the phone to a group FD of a FTSE 250 PLC together with his HR director. And his first comment to me was, "What's the levy?" The second comment to me was, "How much have we not spent?" 3 million quid. And the third comment was, "Pete, why haven't you spent it for us?" At which I said to the HR director, "Over to you." So there's a massive opportunity, but for the first time in a long time, learning and development now is at the boardroom table. And whilst there has been a very slow start to the levy, there is no doubt that the levy will take off over the next 12 to 14 to 16 to 18 months. And for those accountants in the room, if you go and have a look at the ICAW's advice on how you account for levy in balance sheets, you will see why there will be an escalation of levy provision over the next 18 months. But what that levy opportunity brings is really, and I said this back in August and it still continues, is that real importance of both customer service from us as providers. We've got to elevate our customer service and our delivery and our responsiveness. And do that through effective account management. I spend a lot of time with the clients at the moment. Our clients' expectations are here, and in some respects, completely unreasonable, and their expectations unreasonable. You have to manage that through effective account management. Our customer service and delivery is probably here at the moment, and we've got a massive program in our business to elevate that to that level. And we've got to bring the two things to an even keel over the next 6 months or so. So for me, there is major opportunities, whether you're a large provider, a small provider in the room, to either be a prime, to lead with levy-paying clients, or indeed to be a subcontractor within a levy-paying opportunity. But the whole importance of high-quality account management and customer service is absolutely key. And we're about to invest about another £1 million in account management across our business. Investment in business development and tendering. For those of you who don't do any tendering, this is the big Scottish tender on at the moment. So if you want some Scottish funding, you've got till, I think, Tuesday to get your tendering. But there's probably there must be 20, 30, 40 million a week going out in tenders at the moment around that particular, a huge opportunity. The public sector represents a huge opportunity. Remember, 30% of all employees in the UK economy are employed by the public sector, and they have the 2.3% requirement as well. And it's really about now the appetite to spend funds. I want to finish on, I'm used to being quite controversial, so I'll finish on a controversial point. Huge amount of noise around non-levy tendering. I have no sympathy if you didn't get the right scores on your points. I wrote my tender and I employed 3 consultants, not 1, to vet it. If you can't get your 1,375 points, being blunt, you know what the rules are. If you can't get through, tough. I do feel sorry for those that had a small contract and actually those existing high quality providers didn't get through because of that de minimis level. That was a nonsense. However, a lot of noise around that. The biggest part of the growth in our business at the moment isn't non-levy, isn't non-levy tendered activity. Our enrolments are holding their own. Our biggest growth is levy payers in that range £10,000 to £200,000. We call that the mid-market. And actually, you can win 1 of those, and that's as big as your non-levy tender. And often those companies are local, they're regional, and therefore stop moaning about non-levy volumes and get out there and knock over those levy paying clients at that smaller end, that 10 to 100 to 200,000 pounds, because that mid-market is where the opportunities really lie. Thank you very much.